How's it going, guys? CryptoBud here for today. I have the privilege of speaking with two of the co-founders for the NEX exchange and from the city of Zion. Yes, guys, you know those awesome wallets that just came out last couple of weeks where it's seamless, it's fast, where you get to store your precious Neo and all the Neo tokens. So first of all, Thomas and Ethan, thank you for coming over to have this conversation. They basically are the brains behind all the technical parts on those wallets. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about, okay, how do I store my Neo, where to get my tokens? Today, we're gonna ask a couple of questions, and hopefully they can share us a little bit about the progress, the pains, but also the growth and just what you guys have been doing at first. And it's fantastic, guys. So welcome again. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks to be here.
So tell us a little bit about what you do. So Ethan and Thomas, just a little bit of your background, kind of like how you're connected with City of Zion and also NEX. Those are two really ambitious projects.
Yeah, so we're both actually co-founders of City of Zion, along with Fabio, who many of you know. And so that's how we actually originally met. And so over the course of months working on various City of Zion projects, we ended up really connecting and then going on to found NEX, the company. So that's the sort of short version of our background.
Awesome, awesome. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, let's talk about the wallets. What have you done so far that has really enhanced the user experience for anybody who wants to store the Neo tokens and wants to get in terms of security and also for the UI?
Yeah, so I think sort of from day one, the idea was like, let's make it easier to store the tokens, right, and to interact with the Neo blockchain, right? And if you remember in the early days of ant shares and so on, like you had to install your thing and have it sync forever, and sometimes it didn't sync or it didn't work. Your gas claiming, you weren't sure how to do that, all of these things. So first we start with the idea of let's have a light wallet. So this means a wallet that sort of connects to remote servers to get the balance information. You don't have to sync, you don't have to wait. So that was sort of the first step. Second step was like, okay, let's make it easy to claim the gas, right? Because so many people have no idea what's going on there, right? So one button style gas click, right? So now when we have all of these token sales, ICOs and such, the obvious next step here is, right, let's make it easy to interact with those and to manage those. So that's kind of where it's moving right now.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about how these are getting incorporated with some of the newer tokens, like you mentioned about these ICOs.
Yeah.
I saw on the actual interface that there was an option to participate in some sort of ICO where you get to send your address. I mean, I thought that was great because unfortunately we already know that the last ICOs that came out, there was a little bit of a technical glitch with just getting your addresses, things getting refunded manually. I heard something that people had to refund those. How does that look for going forward for anybody who wants to participate in these ICOs? How your UI is going to make that a little easier and seamless?
I think the first part is, and this started with the RPX concept.
Yes, the RPX policy. Yeah, I remember.
And I think the main challenge is designing a smart contract that can support automatic refunds.
Got it.
Or even automatic rejection of transactions that, for some reason, go over the cap or not in the KYC whitelist. And to do that, you need and a little bit of additional logic in your smart contract. So I think in December, NEX published a smart contract template for people to use that has all that functionality built in. Unfortunately, not a lot of people have used that yet.
Yeah.
And we're trying to set a standard for other tokens to use so that it makes this whole process both easier on the user, easier on the ICO operator, and also easier on the network.
Got it. Right.
So once that is in place, is there an option in Neon to perform additional verification?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, and we're going to use Neon Wallet as basically a vector to encourage, basically the use of this template, right? Because if we make it really easy to use that in Neon Wallet, then many people I think will be very interested in using it.
Yeah, definitely. Currently, your wallet supports all of the NEP5 tokens.
That's right.
Protocol.
Yeah.
So, can you talk, and this is from my personal experience, I'm not sure if anybody had it, in regards to updating the wallets and also the speed of some of the glitches in there, how fast, in terms of how is your team kind of working towards getting those out fixed? Because I know I tried to put all the tokens in, and not all of them showed up. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. Was that something that may be addressed, or is going to be fixed, or how long? Or
Yeah. I'm super glad you brought that up because that's a question we're getting a lot. So what's going on here is the wallet communicates directly with the nodes to get the net5 balance information. And so unfortunately what happens is when the nodes don't give you that information, they're slow or they're down or for whatever reason, it basically returns zero balance or it returns non-existent. And so what that means is the wallet's like, oh, it doesn't exist anymore, right? So the obvious thing here, which we're going to do in the next immediate release, is to store a history of all of the tokens that you've ever had a balance on. And so that way, if it pulls the node says there's nothing there. Well, at least you still have the token there, and maybe we have a message that says we just couldn't connect to the node. It doesn't have to just disappear. So for everyone who's experiencing this issue right now, do not worry. Your funds are there. Everything is safe. Everything is fine. It's just it connected to the node. The node didn't give you an answer, and so it disappeared. That's
awesome.
it.
Thank you for that reassurance. Let's talk a little bit about your relationship with Neo. So my understanding, Xena, can you talk a little bit about City of Zion for those people who don't know what that is? I love the Matrix, and when I first heard Zeta Zion, I was like, there's something special about this place. So tell us a little bit about just your overall, how are you connected with Neo? Are you doing this on your own? And I know you guys have done such a great job with just the community building and getting that tech out. So tell us a little bit about City of Zion, what it is, and how do you guys got started and things?
So I think last April or March or May, there was a Slack channel that Neo started, and in that Slack channel, Ethan and I were there, and a couple of other people, and it was almost like a self-organizing thing. You could tell who was doing work and who knew what they were talking about, and out of that kind of formed the council.
Wow.
And once there, we had some level of organization in there. Fabio did a really good job of striking up a relationship with the Neo Council.
Awesome.
So we have always been an independent group of open source developers. We do receive funding from Neo Council themselves, but we don't receive instructions from them.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So all of our projects are self-directed, and so far it's worked out pretty well.
Right. And just to add to that, it's a very bottom-up process. So if you're a developer in the ecosystem and you want to contribute, you want to do something interesting with Neo, just sort of start a project. You reach out to City of Zion. It's very likely, your project will receive funding. So, it really starts from the people doing the work, and then, we're happy to sort of help that continue, basically.
So with that said, what got you started with Neo and doing this? You could have chosen. you're currently a PhD student at Stanford.
That's
is
right,
that correct? Yeah. And with your credentials and with your background, why Neo? Why not? Let's say any other one, Cardano or
Yeah.
So
I think the thing that struck a lot of us about Neo was it had a lot of potential, and we felt we could make a big difference in helping it reach that potential. So, we were very early investors, most of us, and we read the original white paper, we looked at some of the original documents, and we saw just these huge technical ideas here which could make such a difference. But we saw the ecosystem component was missing quite a lot, and a lot of communication, just a lot of instruction. There's just so much that you could have that you didn't have, and we thought that this was just a really great opportunity to take our various skills that we developed professionally and apply them here to help this community grow and succeed.
No, and Thomas, how about you? How did you get?
I've been a developer for a long time, and I got interested in Ethereum a little while ago, and tried the Hello World thing in Solidity, and it was just like, I didn't come back to it. It didn't grab me in the same way that when I found Neo. Just the community around it, and kind of like the unknown nature of it, because it was so fresh. It was quite a challenge. Because when we encountered it, all the comments were in Chinese.
And that's the other question I wanted to ask you guys in terms of the language barrier and also the cultural differences. Obviously they're based in Shanghai. How do you guys work with that? Do you have a translator, or do you have somebody as a point contact to kind of deal with some of these potential issues that can occur with communication?
So we have fairly direct communication, both with Da Hongfei and Eric Zhang. So we communicate with them directly. And for the most part, people speak English very well, so it's not a huge issue.
Awesome.
In terms of sometimes you run into issues with other people on the Neo team, or whatever, but these are issues that you can easily overcome.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's move over to NEX. Okay, so we just yesterday we heard a presentation about NEX Exchange. There was a whole payment system plan in there. Can you tell us a little bit about the direction of NEX specifically, and also how does that connect back to the Neon wallet and all the things that you're doing? Are these two separate projects, or is this something you're going to be consolidating at some point in the future? Or yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely separate projects.
Okay, great.
Neon Wallet is a product of the city of Zion, and it's based on Neon JS, which
That's
Ethan
right.
could talk a little bit more about.
But yeah, no, I mean, in terms of, City of Zion is sort of the day one sort of group that allowed us to get together and to do all of these things. And then sort of NEX is this sort of separate project that a subset of us have decided to form to tackle these real big usability issues we see in the world of decentralized exchanges. So it's a very separate project, but a lot of the NEX contributions will be sort of making their way back to open source code that City of Zion can benefit from.
So a lot of my viewers are really interested in this idea with this payment systems where it's really seamless. You don't have to go through like multiple wallets, go through different exchanges, have a really truly decentralized nature. How do you see the Neon wallet or just the overall ecosystem changing once NEX gets rolled out and that going? Is that something significantly changing for the Neo ecosystem, or is that something that is still a work in progress?
I think the easy answer there is that you'll have much cleaner interaction with distributed or decentralized applications, right? So, part of the job that NEX wants to solve is to make it easy for NEX as a payment service, NEX as an exchange, NEX as anything to interact with these other third-party applications. And right now, I would say it's still a little immature in the ecosystem in terms of how you interact with that. Neon Wallet is a great example of one third-party application that could interact. Yeah.
So in the future, in terms of So the way I envision this is NEX is going to be where you can shop, you can go online, you can buy things, and can do the conversions there. And then your Neon wallet would be just your long-term storage of these coins. Are you going to be focusing a lot on the NEX exchange and trying to get that platform running, or are you going to? I mean, I'm sure you guys are pretty busy with everything, but what type of work will you be involved in terms of that team, in terms of NEX specifically?
I think the NEX, is definitely targeting long-term storage as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have this idea of decentralized banking, right?
Yes, that's right.
Which definitely
That's
has that component. I think the main idea here is that there's room for multiple applications for different tasks, right? And if you want a truly open source project, Neon Wallet will always be there and will always be continued to be developed, right? NEX is just sort of a different animal in some respects, and we'll have some probably additional benefits, but Neon Wallet will have maybe some of its own benefits as well, right? So they will be separate things, but there's room for both.
We've heard a lot about security, and specifically with exchanges getting hacked and whatnot. Let's talk about security in regards to NEX. Now that we're introducing fiat gateways, technically speaking, and you could still, from what I saw yesterday, they had a slide where you can do that. Talk a little bit about security and how people are going to feel comfortable doing these exchanges right on the fly versus having to go to a centralized exchange with insurance. Like, for example, Coinbase, they supposedly have an insurance policy. So let's talk a little bit about how you guys are implementing that part.
I mean, I think the main thing is that you are always in control of your wallet.
Wallets.
So if instead of when you go to Coinbase and you give them money, they deposit Bitcoin or Ethereum in a wallet that they control.
Got it.
And then you tell them to send it to somewhere else.
Exactly.
I think our idea, both with the fiat gateway and also with the exchange, is that you give a payment service, fiat, and they deposit the crypto directly into an address you control. So they're never holding it for you. And the same goes with the exchange. So you're not depositing your crypto in a centralized account. You're always in control of it.
So if you look at the hack that happened recently, right, this just would not be possible in the same way with something like NEX.
So that's okay. So that's another key thing. Great, awesome. And last question here: if you were to, for the audience, why would someone get so excited about the NEX exchange? If you would give a 1 or 2 sentence just about that project, what gets you excited about the project and actually have you wake up every day and said, I really want to work on NEX tomorrow and make it better? What's the key thing and the highlight? What would you say?
So in my opinion, it would be sort of, just making this whole cryptocurrency space much more usable and much more user-friendly. That's sort of the #1 goal at kind of every level. But maybe Tom has a different.
No, my opinion is the same. I mean, I want my mother to be able to
Yeah.
trade cryptocurrency without going through it, without
Absolutely.
becoming a crypto hacker, because I don't want to crypto hack others. So
Great. Well, thank you guys both for coming here, guys. This was a pleasure having them come up here. And again, if you have any questions down there, I think these two are on board in terms of getting that seamless experience where my grandmother can go in and buy crypto without having to go through like 4 different exchanges, 5 different wallets. And to be honest with you, I loved the Neon wallet. I'm pretty sure you have also experienced that. So thank you very much for being on the channel. Thank you, Ethan, and thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
And thank you
Thanks
very
so
much,
much.
guys. All right, guys. Thank you very much.